Hi there, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are, whatever time of day it is. Hello, or as they say, where I come from, sometimes, what you are looking at. They're likely to say that if they're in a particularly bad mood. It's happened to me quite a few times where I've just acknowledged somebody, a bit of a wink, a nod, whatever. And what you get back is, what you are looking at, mate? And you're like, nothing. I'm not looking at anything. But you can't say, I'm not looking at anything, otherwise that's an insult and you're like to get your head kicked in, honestly. I don't know. You're not going to get that here. You're very, very welcome here. Welcome to Spindrifter, and it's great that you can join us. Thank you for coming along, and hopefully this little session will be of some benefit and some use to somebody somewhere. What I'm doing today is it's the second part of a session entitled, which I would entitle Why I Believe in God. The first part was focusing upon the question that I asked myself many years ago and needed to answer, and did answer to my satisfaction. And that question was, is this all that there is? And the answer I arrived at logically, and then later on through personal experience of things that I would rather not have seen, this is not all that there is. The world, the universe, the material place in which we exist is not all that there is, and I say that from a factual perspective as far as I'm concerned. Having ascertained that, I then wanted to try and identify to my satisfaction again, well, if this is not all that there is, what else is there? What exists that isn't us and that isn't material and can't be picked up and prodded and poked and tested and examined and looked at under a microscope? What is there that we don't necessarily see and probably can't understand very well? And the conclusion that I came to eventually was that there is such a being that we would call God, and that such a being exists and is. And I think it's quite reasonable to ask the question, well, if God exists, what proof is there? Have you got any proof? Why should I believe that God exists if I haven't got proof? I don't think that's a wrong thing to do. I don't think we should be believing or accepting things just because somebody with a collar around the neck tells us about it. I don't think that's necessarily the case. We need to examine and to ask and to find sufficient evidence to satisfy ourselves that there is a God. And I have done that to my satisfaction. And what I want to do in this session really is to just share. That's all. I'm not trying to convince anybody of anything. I'm not trying to force upon you my opinion or my expression of what is and what is not. I'm just sharing, and you can, you got to make your own mind up. So, what do I mean by God, first of all? What I mean by God is a being who is not us, who has qualities, characteristics, abilities, and so on, which are probably way beyond our understanding. A being that is on a different level, that is able to step into a different dimension, and I'm also referring to a creative being, a something or a somebody who made what we can see, or certainly put it into motion. That's what I mean by God. When I was a younger person than I am now, which of course was like every other day that's gone by, but much younger, I mean, there was something that used to flummox me. I could never understand why it was, that whilst I live in a world where every single thing has a purpose, every tiny, teeny little thing affects and is connected in some way to something else. How could it be, therefore, that the world itself has no purpose? That doesn't make any sense. The universe has no purpose. If it's all just made itself for no particular reason and it just happens to be here, then it has no purpose. There's no reason for it. Well, how could it be that everything on this planet has a purpose and a reason and a contribution to make, and yet the whole thing is meaningless? That made no sense to me whatsoever. And even now, it wouldn't make any sense to me if I tried to kind of work that out. It doesn't make any sense. So, what proof do I have that satisfies me that a being that we call God exists? Chaos is the first word that comes to mind. And if you look into scientific definitions of chaos, there's one or two about. One of them is that I read from a physics manual, basically, is the property of a complex system whose behaviour is so unpredictable as to appear to be random. The problem I have with that definition is that it uses the term complex system, and I don't see how a complex system can be classed as chaos. So I wasn't quite happy with that definition. Another one I found was a definition of chaos was the formless matter that was supposed to have existed before the creation of the universe. Okay, well, that seems like a reasonable description of chaos. Where I live here in the UK, we have across the media at any given point in time an expression of the extent to which the weather is causing chaos, especially in the winter time when we get like a teeny weeny little bit of snow, maybe half a centimetre or something, not even a quarter of an inch. And according to the newspapers and the television broadcasting authorities, it causes chaos in this country. Well, that's not chaos, is it? That's a bit of inconvenience, and, well, most part in the UK it's pathetic, to put it mildly. But chaos is something completely different, and I like that definition. Formless matter supposed to have existed before the creation of the universe. That's chaos. What's the opposite of chaos? You've got chaos over here. Over there, you might have something called order. And order is defined, generally speaking, as the presence of some symmetry or correlation in a many particle system. The presence of some symmetry or correlation in a many particle system. And I think those definitions do make some sense. Chaos, we understand what chaos is, and order, well, we get that, we know what that is. It's where everything's under control, isn't it? So we have a definition of chaos and a definition of order, and I think it's easy to change order into chaos. I have here in my hands a model train, and it's a collection of parts that are put together in a particular way, and when you sit the train on top of metal rails and run electricity through the rails, the train will pick up the electricity on one side, run it through a motor that propels the train backwards or forwards, and then it puts the electricity down on the rails on the other side. There's some forces involved in that, and they're being brought under control. They are in order. I can bring chaos out of that order very, very easily. All I've got to do is light a fire in my log stove and go and stick this on top of it. It'll melt, and then it won't do anything because it's chaos. Or I can take a lump hammer to it and smash it to pieces, and then I can put all the pieces down on the rail, turn the electricity on, and nothing will happen because I've created chaos out of order. It's easy to create chaos out of order. All you've got to do is bring some kind of an external force or an external influence into the situation. What's not so easy to do, I wouldn't have thought, is to change chaos into order. And yet, I'm told that that's what happened. And I have to say, and I'm just being honest now, I'm not trying to be clever because I'm not clever. I'm not trying to be funny because I'm not funny. I can't believe it. I can't believe that chaos will bring about order. If I smash my train up there and put all the bits in a bag and leave them there for 10 billion years and come back and pick up the bag, what's going to be left in that bag is exactly what I put in there in the first place. It's not going to make itself into another train. It's going to be chaos. Chaos, logically, I don't see how chaos can bring about order by itself. And I have to say, I do not have enough faith to believe that something like that is possible. If you have enough faith to believe that something like that is possible, well, you've got more faith than I do. But what I do have is, in common with everyone else, or most of us anyway, the ability to recognise that what exists around me is order, and that I am a part of that order that exists around me. And that is enough for me to conclude that there is a superior entity at work, a something or a somebody is applying a force of some form or another to bring about control and order where there perhaps would have been chaos. Not only that, but they are maintaining it. Now, assuming it were possible for chaos to achieve order by itself, which, as I've said, I don't have the faith to believe that it would, but if it did, why would chaos maintain order thereafter? That makes even less sense to me, and I have even less ability to believe that that would happen. So if you're a person who's searching, keep on looking would be my advice. Don't stop searching. Keep hard at it. And eventually you will find that the answers that you're looking for will find you. And when they do, I expect you'll probably be quite surprised at the simplicity of it all. That's what I wanted to share. I hope that's a blessing to somebody. If not, well, I shared it anyway. I think we don't share enough in this world. We keep too many things to ourselves. So have a good day, be blessed. Whatever you're doing, do it with a smile on your face, be good to others, and be mindful that if we are created, we've got a purpose, and that's a fascinating thing to think about. Have a top day, be blessed. Talk to you soon. God bless you all.